Welcome to English Podcasts. Relax and enjoy your listening practice.
I am an old woman now, and the days no longer hurry past me. They move slowly, like clouds over the desert, leaving space for memory. It is in this quiet space that I remember him. His name was Chayton. He was Apache, born where the mountains rise sharply from the earth, as if the land itself had decided to stand and look at the sky. Among his people, he was known as a man who listened. He did not speak unless the moment required it, and when he did, his words were precise, like stones placed carefully across a river. I met him when I was young, before time learned how to bruise the heart. I remember the dust on his boots, the way the sun rested on his shoulders, and how he stood without tension, as if his body had made peace with gravity long ago. He looked at the world not as something to conquer, but as something to understand. Chayton taught me that the land is not silent. He said the land speaks constantly, but most people are too loud inside themselves to hear it. The desert breathes. The wind carries memory. Even the stones remember the hands that once touched them. We would ride out early, before the heat hardened the air. In those hours, the world felt unfinished, as though it was still deciding what kind of day it would become. Chayton showed me how to read the ground, a broken twig, a faint mark in the sand, small things that revealed entire stories. Nothing, he said, exists without leaving a trace. These were not gentle times. The land was desired by others, people who arrived with certainty and weapons, convinced that ownership was the same as belonging. They did not understand the Apache way. They did not understand that you cannot possess what gives you life. Chayton became a warrior without bitterness. He believed violence was a wound that never healed cleanly, but sometimes the wound came whether you invited it or not. To protect the people was not a choice. It was a responsibility, as natural as breathing. The night before he left for the last time, we sat by a small fire. The stars were sharp and numerous, pressing close to the earth. He did not promise to return. He did not speak of fear or honor. He simply took my hand, and in that gesture, everything was said. Silence with him was never empty. When the news came, it arrived quietly. There were no details, no place to visit, no body to bury. Chayton had fallen somewhere in the mountains, and the mountains had reclaimed him. Among the Apache, this was not considered a cruel ending. The land had reclaimed one of its own. For a long time, Greece lived in me like a second shadow. But grief changes shape. It softens. It teaches. There were years when I tried to live as if memory were something that could be set aside. I married, I worked, I learned the ordinary language of survival. Yet even in the busiest moments, there was always a quiet awareness inside me, a sense that part of my life belonged to a wider rhythm, one that did not obey calendars or human plans. I began to understand that love, like the land, does not demand constant presence. It endures in absence. Chayton had given me a way of seeing, and once learned, it could not be forgotten. Every choice I made carried the weight of that early education, to move carefully, to take only what was needed, to leave room for what comes after. As age settled into my body, I stopped fearing the passage of time. Time, I realized, was not an enemy. It was a current, and resistance only made the water rougher. Chayton knew this. He lived without urgency, without the illusion of permanence. In that way, he was freer than most. Sometimes in the long evenings, I speak his name aloud, not as a call, but as acknowledgement. Names are bridges. They connect the living to what has shaped them. The sound of his name still feels solid in my mouth, as if it carries the weight of stone and sky. Now, when I walk slowly beneath the open sky, I understand what he knew all along. We are temporary shapes held briefly by the world. What remains is not the body, but the way we listened, the way we respected what could not be owned. This is the Apache truth. We do not end, we return. And as long as the land remembers us, we are never truly gone.